Welcome back to Awakening Exchanges. I'm your host, Jay Rich, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. For those of you that are joining us for the first time this week, I want to give you a very warm welcome to the exchange. We truly value all of your positive energy, and I hope you continue to join us in the future. You listeners are the most important part of this podcast, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Please remember that if you have any suggestions for topics or guests, I do listen to the listeners, and I look forward to hearing from you. You can find us on our website, or you can also contact me on Twitter at Awaken Exchanges. You may have noticed that this is the second episode this week. And like I said in the last one, it's been a crazy busy year, but I still wanted to get these last few episodes out before the Portal to Ascension Conference is actually live in San Diego, April 21st through 23rd, 2023. So if you're in town, you should come join us. It's going to be great. If you're listening to this in the future, I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry you missed us. Go look for it on YouTube. I'm sure there's really cool stuff out there. Yeah, I'm sure it was also an awesome time. But if you are listening to this in time, go join us. It's going to be a little bit of everything, or a little bit of something for everyone. How about that? This episode was also supposed to air a couple of months ago, but since it wasn't even originally scheduled for this round of interviews, I'm glad we're getting it out at all. I met Joan during my interview with Alan Steinfeld, which I just released before this. She seemed so nice that I just wanted to hear a little bit more about her. Turns out that we recorded right as I was in the beginning stages of my second round of COVID, but hopefully my voice isn't off too much. At least I had the correct audio file this time. It could sound as bad as the last one did. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this conversation with Joan of Angels as much as I did. There are few people that share themselves as genuinely as she does when she shares her experiences and journey towards self-awakening. I hope you take them and just feel that energy and hopefully can apply it to yourself. I told you these intros were going to be short, and so let's keep it that way. For today's episode, we're going to jump right into it. Before, though, I hope you remember that you are still the reason I'm making these episodes. I want to thank each and every one of you personally for your support, but just listening and sharing this podcast with your friends gives me a reason to keep providing the best content that I can. If you have the means and would like to contribute personally, please look for our Patreon page, where you'll get access to exclusive content and deals. Your personal support there and at Awaken Vapes is the only means of funding this podcast, and I truly hope you know how much I appreciate each and every one. And please remember, if you enjoy this podcast, follow us on Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us wherever else you're listening. And if you can, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I know every podcast says it, but that's because it really spreads the word. So you can also support us on Patreon or connect with us on the social media of your choice. We are at Awakened Exchanges on Facebook and Instagram, and at Awaken Exchanges on Twitter. All right, now stay tuned, and thank you for listening to Awakened Exchanges. Welcome back to Awakened Exchanges. I am so enchanted to be here today with Joan of Angels. Thank you so much for joining us, Joan.
I am so excited that you're enchanted, first of all, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, as it's your first time on here, would you mind telling the audience a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Wow, okay. So I want to start with, I'm an intuitive guide, and I'm here to help people wake up and free humanity. I work with the energy of Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc has been my archetype since I was a little girl, and I carry her frequency. In 2013, I was told by my guides to paint 33 angels in 30 days, and that really launched me as Joan of Angels. So that is who I am, and I'm here to help heal the people of Earth as well as free the people of Earth. And that is really one of my soul missions. And I have a background as a medical intuitive. I was a chiropractor for many, 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 many years. And so my focus is on helping people heal their body, mind, and spirit in all ways.
Well, it seems.
Naturally.
What's that now?
I said naturally.
Naturally. Of course. I was actually going to say, it seems like your calling has always been to help and heal people. You said you were a doctor of chiropractic at one point. When did you start that?
So when I was 30, I was in a spiritual group in Los Angeles, or when I was 25 rather, and I went to a seminar and I said, okay, what should I do with my life? And I actually heard a voice that said, go to chiropractic school. Literally like that. And I went to enroll the next day, and I got a check in the mail that day for the exact amount of the tuition my grandfather's estate, okay? And that was a confirmation. I was like, oh my God, I guess I'm really supposed to do this. So, but when I was 30, when I started practicing, I went to a visioning seminar. And in that seminar, I had a vision that, and a gorgeous angel was behind me. We were in the Colosseum, you know, the ancient Colosseum, and millions of people were walking by in crutches or wheelchairs or crawling. And the goddess angel and I were like healing them just like that. And I was told then that my purpose is to heal and inspire the people of Earth. Oops, I got a confirmation right there.
So after the Doctor of Chiropractic, you actually also got a master's degree in counseling. Is that right?
So I actually got the master's degree in counseling before my Doctor of Chiropractic.
Really? Okay.
Because I was a therapist type. I had worked in the drug abuse field, and I just was naturally attuned to people. And I actually wanted to be a psychoanalyst for a while. I love going deep, and it was my gift. And so I got the counseling degree first, and I was so shy that I didn't think I could ever build a practice as a therapist. I didn't. It didn't dawn on me I have to build a practice as a chiropractor, but so I was struggling. What am I to do? And then I heard this voice, go to chiropractic school, and I followed that guidance. Worked out very well for me.
It seems to have. You've let's see. So your specialty is helping people remember the big picture, is how you put it. How is that?
So, you know, we all come here for a mission, and we all have a purpose. We all have this soul thing we really came here to do. And people get yearnings for their soul purpose at different phases of their life, but we lose our memory when we arrive here on the planet. And so we're reincarnated. We don't actually have all those memories. So my work has always been about helping people and inspiring people to let go of what doesn't serve them so they can actually do their work and be purposeful or understand maybe the visions. I work with a lot of visionaries, and sometimes they don't quite understand why they were the ones chosen to do this work. So I really help people align with their purpose this life and to remember who they are and to clear away the obstacles to doing that. And these obstacles may be health, wealth, or happiness, body, mind, or spirit. So I work collectively with all of that. And I am really here to heal and inspire. And even as a chiropractor, I used to be frustrated by this, like you could only treat one person at a time theory.
Okay.
You know, I used to, how do I heal more people? You know, how do I heal more people all the time? And I had a very busy practice. I would work with like 90 people a day anyway.
Wow.
But I wanted 900, 9,000 because we live in a big planet. And
we do.
I feel like the people of humanity really need clearing and freeing of their energy now.
So what prompted that in you? What decided, I'm trying to think of the better way to put this, but what made you, I know you said you had that vision. What made you specialize into going into and helping individuals, and how did you, first, was it an intuitive thing for you? Was it something where you were able to just feel what you needed to do, or was something given to you that you got to pass on?
I have certain gifts. Yeah, I have certain gifts with clairsentient, which is the ability to know because you know because you know. I'm clairaudient, obviously, because sometimes I actually hear voices or guidance. And I'm also, in a way, clairvoyant, but not really. But through my art, I see things. So I could just tell you that from a very young age, I always was around helping people. It was just who I was. And I always have empathy, the gift of empathy. So I could feel other people, their pain, their hurt. So from very early, and also I would see angels periodically. So from very early, it was just a soul calling. Now I have since found out that I've been a high priestess in many lifetimes. High priestess of Atlantis, I was just told. A high priestess in Egypt. And so I would say healing and clearing frequency and bringing people of Earth may have been my mission ever since I got here. You know, and I believe that many of us are volunteers, that we've been here before. So this is just who I am. It's organic. It's organic. It's me. My name, Joan, just like your name, John, means gift of God. God was gracious.
Yes, he was. And thank you for being here.
And you're a gift of God, too. So it's almost like we can't help being gifts to humanity. Probably, I don't know you well yet, but I would say that's probably one of your gifts.
I have definitely been called, especially in the last year. I've always apparently helped heal people without really knowing why or how. But the last year, a lot of my friends have been drawn back to me for some help. And I think there's a lot more to come. I think I'm just starting to open up into what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's interesting. It tends to be clairsentience for me as well as I'm opening up into my intuition. So
I am hearing it. Okay, I have chills all over because that's the truth. You know what happens, Jay? Sometimes things are, we come into a physical body, we have to get grounded in here, our memory has to return. At the same time, there's forces against us remembering, because that's how powerful your work is and my work. So we have to spend a lot of our lives, some of us, some people have an instant, but some of us have to remember. And in my case, it has taken a long time for all the pieces of who I am to be synthesized again. And so my work, I call it soul awakening sessions. What is that? It's to help remember, like even now it's occurring as we're talking. Because I have a feeling that you're starting to get even more in tune to what, oh my God, this is really real. This is what I am doing. And so that's how I feel. So during those sessions, I help people remember and activate and be assured we who came as volunteers or these rainbow warriors have codes in our body that at the right time will remember and awaken. It's a matter of saying yes. So when I was told to paint 33 angels in 30 days, I was in one of the worst periods of my life. But I actually said, I don't do eyes. I can't do it. And then they said, and I said, well, that's a lot of painting. I was doing a lot of, oh my God, 33 canvases. And so I said, that's what I said. And then I heard it one more time. And my guide said to me, and I knew, either I said yes and accepted this thing that could change my whole life, or maybe I'll wait till next lifetime for it to come around again. Because they won't hear you again. It's in the yes. And I had that confirmed a few years later. I had a reading with this palm reader. And he looked at me and he said, do you know you were supposed to be famous by now? He said, you didn't say yes when I came.
Interesting.
And then he said, well, don't worry, it will come again. So now I've learned to say yes to opportunities that just, it was just my fear saying no.
I, too, have had, I stopped doing what I was being called to do to help put my ex-fiance, unfortunately, first, and tried to move her career and get us as a unit together. But we were never quite on the same page. She, unfortunately, was a little bit younger than me as well. So I felt like I was pushing her instead of letting her open up as she needed to. And eventually, when we split, all of a sudden I realized, all right, I can't do this again. I've had this pattern in my life. I've done this with multiple women where I've tried to put myself in the back seat. And so this time I listened to the voice and I started paying attention to what I needed to do. My job and financial situation started opening up in so many different ways. My podcast has been taking off as well. There's just all of these things that have started to line up the way they needed to. And I think it's important people start to listen to those voices inside.
Right? And sometimes they're counter to what people are telling you, or what the outside world says, but we're the ones who came here. We're the ones who really have a soul mission and a soul purpose. So I want to tell you something that did come is that, you had a contract with her, a soul contract that you completed. So just so you know that. And also, remember I said to overcome obstacles. So many people have a contract which is to put other people first. That's one of the challenges and the obstacles, to say yes when we mean no, or to put other people first. And that actually becomes an issue for us when all of our resources go there and we don't listen inside. So you were learning this lifetime, probably it was a lesson from many lifetimes, on how to say yes when you know yes, and no when you mean no, and then to take your energy field back. That is so important. And because time and money are your resource.
Yes.
There are major resources, and so when we're constantly putting others first, and believe me, I did that all my life until the last 10 years also, and it's a learning experience for many of us.
I think you're right in that. There's so many of us who think that being kind means we have to always put the other person first, as opposed to keeping them in our thoughts, keeping them in our hearts, and doing what's right no matter what, the situation calls for.
And sometimes here's the thing. I teach a lot about intuition. Okay, I have some classes on my website about it. How do you trust your gut? So what happens is we get an intuition, a flash, or pain. In my case, I get pain when it's the wrong direction. But maybe everyone else is telling you it's the right direction. So part of our learning is to learn what's right for us and to learn to screen out the rest of the outside world telling us what to do. And trusting your gut is one of the hardest things to do this life.
Well, and I think that actually also comes down to a lot of how people are being raised. And I've seen the generational changes. I'm technically the first year of millennials, 1981. And I was always a little ahead of my time. I built my first computer when I was 12. I've always kind of dealt with technology and been in that kind of a realm. So I have that millennial side, but I grew up with all of my Gen X cousins coming up here teaching me everything. And so I've this little bridge in between and seeing all of these gaps. And it seems like people have gotten more and more protective as opposed to more and more open. Teaching the kids how to actually live their true selves instead of just the life they think they should be living, I guess.
So you're right, and you're lucky because you're listening and you had others around you. But I'm saying we've entered into a time of mass programming where individualism is being stamped out by the culture, and that's a lot of what I'm going to say about that. That even waking up and remembering, I just did a show last week on breaking free from the matrix. Okay, how do we break free from the matrix? And this technology, the computers and the AI technology, is now in everything. And the graphene oxide is in everything, chemtrails, everything. And what it does is it interferes with our connection to source. It's as if the more you get involved in that technology, you develop, or you've opened up the door to almost have this AI technology in your energetic field. That AI technology blocks your connection to source. So one of the first things I see for many people now, I didn't used to see it, but now I've been awakened to it, is to actually cut through this metal and dissolve it and detoxify from it. You were brought up, and the kids brought up your generation are have a lot of that. I mean, think about all the video games and this meta universe, and it's almost an entrapment of our divine souls, of our connection to our divine self. So
I was just going to say, I definitely, when you said that, it made me think of like virtual reality and things like that. I love the games. I still do it on occasion, definitely not as much as I did in my youth. But I can see people getting trapped into those worlds, and instead of living their life in reality, they live their life in the virtual world, never getting to open up who they really are.
You are so perceptive. So there's a hive mentality when you're connected to AI technology, and that allows massive programming. And I could leave it at that, but that's what happens. Massive programming when people connect into that AI technology, the virtual world, and it opens you, just like in Star Trek, the board.
Yeah.
Okay? You can step outside and sit kind of in the atmosphere. You look down at Earth, you will see many people connected to the board as a symbol to that technology. Well, God, Source, and those higher energies and frequency are not that AI technology. So between many people and Source, say, is this technology now. And that is kind of what we're breaking free of. So recently, the Joan of Arc frequency for me has come back really strongly. And I realized, what does Joan of Arc do? She frees humanity. And so I'm here to free humanity from these traps so that we can collectively awaken again to our true potential.
And
our true.
How do you do that with individuals? What kind of lessons, what kind of classes do you offer? How do you help with people?
So that's a great question, too. I have several classes on the website now about waking up to your intuition, connecting to your angels. But I have some new work coming out also January, February on your soul mission. It's called Star Mission Activations. And I'm helping people literally connect to their starseed purpose here on the planet. I do one-on-one sessions still, which are really designed to help you really start to remember, like even in our talking, by the way, I can feel your energy getting really inspired about what you're here to do. Now, because I'm a light code activator, I'm a portal. I am actually a portal and a portal of transformation. So when I do sessions with people, we just really dive in and I start to bring that information to the source of what you are here to do. And then we clear away. Some people work with me for coaching for a while. So we clear away the obstacles. We reignite your skills, your gifts. So I feel like your clairsentience is one of your tools, one of the gifts you came here with. So I help you remember what's in that toolkit of what you came here to do. And it's very inspiring. I love people. I just can't help myself. I just adore people. And I have other work coming through now, which is not on the website, but it has to do with soul essence portraits. So sometimes I'll take those soul awakening readings and go further. And I'll take an image of someone and I go in to connect with guides. And before you know it, we have literal images of who you are in a different dimension.
Wow. That's fascinating. I would love to see some of your art on that.
I can share. I don't know if I can share on the screen now. It's not set up. Maybe we'll do it next time.
Or yeah, if you email it to me, I might be able to even include some in the social media post for people to see as well, if you'd like.
Oh my God, I'd love that. I'll send some of my angel art. I've been painting since 2013, angels, divine beings, and portals. And then recently, I've taken that art and I'm working through digital photography now, digital art, and it's taking me into higher dimensions. It's like I connect, and before you know it, I'm in a zone, and then I couldn't even repeat what I do. I don't know how to do it again. It's a one of a kind because it's that frequency.
Yeah, just like I used to play sports a lot, so I always go back to there when you talk about in the zone and you just you're so focused and in the moment, you couldn't repeat that performance. You're in that performance at the time, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
And, when we're aligned with our destiny and doing our work, we are in the zone. That's when you wake up excited, and ready to leap over tall buildings. So in my chiropractic practice, every time I would adjust someone, an adjustment, by the way, is aligning you with higher intelligence. A true adjustment. I'm an old-fashioned chiropractor, and I believe in aligning you with the power that heals the body. The power that made the body can heal the body. But every time I would adjust someone before at the end, as they're getting, I'd say, "We just turned on your power." I don't know why I ever said that. Now I understand it. I'll even do it in readings now. It's about turning on your power, aligning it very specifically so you can start to bring the information through you. All right? And, it's kind of interesting. I'm being guided to talk about ears right now. And a tool that I use sometimes with people that I love, my clients, and it's really about taking an energetic light or floss. Energetic floss is really an easy way to call it. And we just see that we're pulling it through this way and this way and this way, and we're twisting it to remove anything that's in the way of us hearing.
Interesting.
Hearing spirit,
okay.
Hearing our guides, being connected. So I'm going to suggest that to you because sometimes, I'm going to suggest that you would love that process.
I will. I will remember that and try it out more later tonight because. So, have you done anything with plant medicine?
Oh yes, I love plant. It was because of plant medicine that I began to hear the voices to paint 33 angels. I had started my first journey on October 6th, 2013. Took my second a few weeks later, and by October 31st, I got that message to paint.
And was that mushrooms for you, or?
So actually, it wasn't even on hallucinogenics. That's why people were so shocked. My particular tribe of people worked with heart medicine first.
Oh, okay.
And they put me on this heart medicine. And I came out, I started to see writing on people's heads and all this stuff. And they said, "Joan, you're not even on a hallucinogenic." I was heart listeners.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until later I was given more stuff.
Well, I've been working with a shaman lately who was on the podcast a while back as well, and I've had some previous experiences, but we just started working with DMT a little bit, and there was a big clearing that I had to get out of me, things that were really locked in there. After that happened, it almost was like it brought me back to my childhood state. I used to get ear infections so bad that I lost 98% of my hearing. So when you started talking about ears, I was like, oh, this is very, you were drawn to tell me this. But those ear infections, I had to have tubes in my ears and couldn't go into water for a long time, things like that. And once we did that clearing, all of a sudden I was just telling you off air, I had a massive ear infection in both ears. Just everything was coming back up, and I had to get rid of that, get back through all of this stuff. And it just felt...
We call that retracing.
Okay.
That when you have to go back to your old symptoms, because what were you doing? You said you were clearing out and going back to your childhood. You had to feel it to let go of it.
And it was weird to go back to that level. I hadn't been in a pain like that for so long, and remembering how much that I almost lost as a child and having to battle back through that. And that's actually kind of how I feel. I ended up, as we know, I'm in the last day, hopefully, of COVID. My symptoms are going away for the second time, but it also felt like it was clearing this other stuff out of me as I was going through it. And it's just been an interesting experience for sure.
I have a gift for you. I would love to do a soul awakening session for you.
I would love that.
Love your energy. and I can kind of feel you in a certain way, and that would be a gift.
I would love to do that with you. That sounds amazing. Would that be something we could do remotely, or is it something like I will actually be in San Diego for the Portal to Ascension Conference? I know you're going to be speaking at that as well.
So I'm a co-producer. So I doubt that I'll have any energy available for that. To do that with you, okay? So I'm lucky Neil kept me on the speaking. I said, no, I want to be a host too. And he said, you're a producer. You can't do everything. I couldn't put that on that week, but I could do it next week, online on Zoom.
Okay.
The energies work really well on Zoom. So we can do it before Christmas, before the holiday.
I would
Your
love
present.
that. That's so kind of you. Thank you so much.
No, my guides told me. They said it will really help you on your mission. It'll anchor it in for you. It'll help clear some of the other energies that have found you until you can really be there.
I've really been feeling, and I actually just got Jeff Harmon is a astrologist who is fairly well known. He was on the podcast recently, and I just did a full reading with him, and he was talking about I'm basically just entering a new 19-year period in January, and all of this stuff over this last year, he's like, oh, so much has opened up for you in the last 6 months to a year, and there's so much more in the next 10 years, and we were going through all of this stuff, and I was like, it's nice to be finding my purpose.
And you're ready now, okay? You are ready now, and that's what I've been, I guess, I wasn't ready either until the now. I've had many experiences to wake me up to this moment. We were talking about plant medicine, and I did some plant medicine recently. EMT has been more of a challenge because I'm stuck in all those geometric places. I haven't broken through, but
I understand.
In this mushroom journey, and Neil was there in another place, and he said, Joan, he said, oh my God, Joan, you are the light. And I looked up, and I saw a 15th dimensional being above me. And it was the first time I'd been told I have a 15th dimensional being next to me, but I had never seen it. And I was told that, and I merged with my 15th dimensional self.
Wow.
It's completely possible. Plant medicine is such a gift to humanity to wake up. And I want to say something else about this. The planet itself is in a dichotomy. There's like two timelines. One timeline is kind of control, dark energies, this AI energy, and mind control, and sort of really a heavy energy, like what we've experienced the last few years even.
Yeah.
With all this control. But the other one is the Ascension timeline, and they cannot stop it. They literally cannot stop it. The cosmic rays that are coming down here, the prophecies, and the time that we're in, is that if people will just detach from this one and start to believe in this power of this ascension, like you are starting to believe in your gifts, you will be walking this positive timeline. The more of us that are on this positive timeline, the more that by 2030 we will have destroyed the other ones. That's all I could say. So I want everyone to know it's in the cards for us to be a free planet, to step into the new earth, to be these ascended high frequency beings. It is in our destiny. You are one of the leaders of that, Jay. And that is just the way it is. And you're now remembering. You didn't need to know it before.
It is fascinating to hear you speak. Please go on.
And there's forces that many of us leaders have had, and I call them agents. I came across an article that mentioned agents of the dark, and I went, holy moly. These agents of the dark are even our family and friends or our lovers who are unconsciously being manipulated to hold us back. Period.
They're not doing it on purpose even. Like you said, it's unconscious.
They're not doing it on purpose. I used to call them miracle busters, but now I kind of see it even clearly. Because it is known who you are on these other realms, John. Okay. They know what you can achieve. And from very birth, there's assignments energetically to keep you from getting there. Those ear infections could have taken you out. So we should, to become aware of that, you can look at your life and go, to all of you listening, I know this is a lot, but if you could step back and go, gosh, just what am I here to do? And what has kept me doing it? What has kept me and held me back? I can tell you all the things that kept me. I was brought up to live in a closet. Okay, I had a very abusive father. I was in terror. I actually ran away from home at the age of 3. And when I considered, even though I knew my mission was to heal and inspire humanity, I couldn't leave the closet. It was too painful for me. I was too shy. I couldn't embrace it until now. Now, Joan of Arc is needed on the planet. And now, everything I'm doing is breaking anything that's keeping me from being there.
I love
and
it.
Doing this.
I am incredibly grateful that you are, by the way. It is a pleasure to have you here.
I love it.
So you said that you have had some regressions and have seen some of your own past lives, or understand your own past lives. Can you tell me a little bit about some of that?
Well, yes, I can. There's many lifetimes that I've been looking at. I've looked at a lot of my lower frequencies. So I was very concerned why my full memories weren't returned. And I had several Akashic record readings about that. And one of them found me, all of them had to do with the fact that I always spoke to the gods. I've always been a channel, every lifetime. High priestess of Atlantis, the high priestess of Atlantis, a high priestess in Egypt. I've had senses of those things, but I couldn't break free. So these 2 particular readings, one was that from very early, I was always talking to the gods, and my parents tried to protect me, but word got out, and people from the village would come, and I would heal them and whatever. And then, of course, word of me got to king. Well, the king was supposed to be the only divine representative of God, the only one who could speak to the gods. And probably at the age of 14, I was dragged in front of the king. And they dragged me, and he demanded that I prophesize for him. And, of course, I channeled exactly how horrible he was and what he was doing. And they dragged me up to the top of the pyramid. I think back the pyramid was here in the Yucatan. I experienced it at Chichen Itza recently.
And that keeps going off in very key moments there, saying, yes, yes, those little beeps.
Right? And so I was dragged up to the top of the pyramid. 4 guards were holding me down, and the king was about to take his sword and stab my heart because they were going to sacrifice me to the gods and eat my heart. And I managed to break free from these 4 guards, which is probably impossible, and I threw myself over the mountain, over the pyramid. And that way they could not steal my connection to the gods.
Wow.
So that was the first time. The second lifetime, and this all had to do with why I could no longer connect the way I wanted to. And the second time, I was also one who spoke to the gods, and I was with a religious family. We were in a mystery school, and they were going to kick my family out of the mystery school because I asked too many questions. I've always been a questioner. Okay, from the very beginning, I couldn't figure out why God had such a neurotic personality. It's like, yeah, he's asking us to slay people and smite them? What the heck is wrong with this one? And I would say it out loud. So I had many questions, and I was far more talented than the teachers at these mystery schools. So my family was in danger because I spoke out. And so many of my lifetimes, like Joan of Arc, I was in danger by speaking out. And I endangered people around me because I spoke to the gods. And it was dangerous to be smarter than the king or smarter than your teachers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, I've been smarter than them just because I know. And now I know that I was the high priestess. I knew. And that memory's coming back.
So I wish I could remember what her name was. There's world-renowned hypnotist who was big into past life regression. She lived here in Portland. Her practice, actually, she decided to retire after COVID hit because she was getting at that age and she didn't need to do it anymore, and she couldn't keep it through COVID. But I did one session with her, and the biggest thing that came through for me, I've always been a storyteller. I've always been fascinated with history, with all the stories that could come out, and all the knowledge that needed to be brought down and passed along. Do you know much about the Younger Dryas impacts and all of that?
Tell me what it is, and then I'll know it.
The Younger Dryas impacts are they're just finding all of the proof about it now, the asteroid impacts that probably started and ended the last ice age. The first impacts were 12,500 years ago. The other ones were about 11,000 years ago. The 11,000 years ago one most likely seemed to have hit in the oceans and caused all of the biblical flood narratives that we had. Most likely the end of Atlantis, things like that. And for me, doing these regressions, the main sense that I felt was that it was part of what I was supposed to have done is to pass on that knowledge when we left Atlantis, when we were, like we had, with Göbekli Tepe and all these other places, there are these underground tunnels that they found where we were trying to show ourselves, the astronomy and how we can actually protect ourselves from more impacts. And I think we lost a lot of that, but there were still some of us who got out and helped spread that through South and Central America, through Egypt, through Turkey, through all of those other places where you have these ancient sites. There were some of us who got out and got to give some of that knowledge. And I felt like it was my responsibility and that I didn't do it as well as I wanted to. And that's part of what I'm here to do this time.
I'm going to confirm it. Absolutely. I feel it. I heard that's why I'm supposed to do a reading with you. I was there with you. We sent out people we sent out our teachers across the globe to hidden spaces, to the Tibet, to the monasteries, to Africa, to Egypt, everywhere, and set up mystery schools there. Currently, I'm working with Neil Gar at Portal to Ascension, and we are, and I channeled this whole thing of why we're creating mystery schools around the planet. We're infusing them through these teachings that we're doing. Also, that's Neil's mission. So you're part of that too, in awakening humanity again. We will make it this time because the stars are aligned. This is the first time in the history of the planet that humanity will be able to free itself. And we've been controlled for a long time by outside forces. I don't want to go there, but this has not been a free planet. And so we are about to do that. You're part of that day.
Thank you so much. I feel it. And I'm very glad that we impromptu decided to go ahead and do another interview here with you. It was meant to be divine timing, as it were.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. And I'm so grateful. I just love your energy. I just feel like you understand. And you understand your mission more than ever.
I am very much looking forward to our next session as well and having that gift. I know that you have a hard stop time here not too long away, so I wanted to ask you a little bit about the Portal to Ascension before we got too far out of there.
Absolutely.
How did you meet up with Neil, and what are you working on with him there?
So it's so funny. I met Neil before I had that awakening to painting angels.
Wow. Okay.
I met him in 2012. He and his wife came to my booth. I was doing readings at the Conscious Life Expo.
Okay.
And his wife adored me, absolutely adored me. But of course, they didn't have psychics or people who read cards or oracles at their events. But the woman I was with was going to Neil's first live conference, and I went down there and I did readings down there. And ultimately, Neil and his wife, I don't know, she really loved me. And they came to my house in the desert. And so every year they'd come and spend 3 or 4 days with me, and we would channel and look at the big picture or whatever. And then Neil one day, and this is great, he said, Joan, I got into painting cannabis art, and I started doing cannabis art. I was talking to the spirit guides cannabis. And so he called me, or he was there, and he said, Joan, why don't we do a cannabis conference together? And he was doing his first psychedelic conference, plant medicine. So I helped co-produce both of those events for him. And about a year and a half later, when we were together again, doing another deep dive, him and his wife and I, he started asking me if I was interested in helping to co-produce some more events. And I went, wow. Now I'm traveling with Neil and really helping to support him in many, many ways. And we're producing more events than ever. So now we're producing a live conference in San Diego, and I could send you the links to this, San Diego.
We'll actually have some links in the show notes for that as well. So. Okay,
perfect. And then we're going off to Glastonbury and I'm so connected to Glastonbury. We're doing an event in Glastonbury, the mystery school. Here we're being called. And then we're taking 2 tours to Egypt in September. And so I feel that this is all part of awakening not only my memories and Neil's, but the planet. And we're being called to, hold the light grids in those places. We invite all of you to join us if you're so called. And that's what we're doing. And I love working with Neil. We're very telepathic together. It's a spiritual, when he asked me to do this work, I read our destiny cards together. We've done it many lifetimes together. And it's a spiritual connection, and it's amazing. We can read each other's thoughts sometimes.
That is awesome.
And we balance each other out. People love to have me now, apparently from the feedback I get on some of these events. I must bring in this more feminine aspect in certain ways. So that's a lot of my work with Neil.
It's funny, you say feminine, I see balance. And I think that, that's what people are trying to aim for as well. And you do have a very feminine aura, but it's like an assured feminine quality. It's something that you don't necessarily associate with modern day femininity as much. And I love seeing that in you.
See, I have a Libra moon, balance and harmony in all things, probably guidelines here in life. And I know I help establish balance. I know who I am. Jay, I couldn't have told you that 10 years ago, but I know who I am. I know what my presence brings. And I know that when my vibration gets lower or I'm not myself, I might as well not go out anywhere. I talk about fluffing your wings and standing in your power and going into Starbucks and really being that high frequency being. It changes everything. But for a long time, I would forget. And then I didn't even know who I was. So when you know who you are, you can, when you confidently know that you are aligned, that you've removed some of those blocks, and that you are here to wake up humanity, which is one of your missions, and to carry this light. And I want to remind you, you're carrying this light through the AI technology. You are breaking the AI technology by bringing in light that is reaching people as well.
That is a very interesting way to look at it, because I have kind of felt, as soon as you said that, it clicked. Where I feel that bridge, like I am between the Gen X and the millennials, it feels like that bridge between the technology as well.
And so when I get on air, I just send out love and light to the universe, and I make sure that I've just turned on my own energy so that which is received is the highest frequency.
I love it.
And then you'll see. I think you'll even see people writing to you more like, God, I just felt so good after that show. Like, oh my God, Jay, I think you'll feel it.
I agree with you. I do have to ask, I loved Glastonbury. I went to Stonehenge when I was 18, 19, and I've been drawn to that area my whole life. I think my grandma she was actually a big influence in teaching me a lot about history. She had that book series, the Time Life Mysteries in the 80s that were, I just devoured those. And when you said that you guys were going to Egypt, you said September?
September, yes.
What does the tour entail there? Because I might need to join you.
All right, so I'll send you the links to it too. We're just in the middle of finishing it up. It's I think, God, like almost 13 nights or something, 14 days. You fly into Cairo. We start by taking you to the Mina House Hotel. Yes, beautiful hotel. So we start with it's a series of initiations as we go through each temple and each chakra system. It's going to have 4 nights on the Nile cruise where we go to the Isis temple, Abu Dhabi, how do we pronounce it? I'm learning about Egypt every moment because I've been told that I was the high priestess there. So it will be the return of your memories. We have the herd tax going. I don't know if you know Geraldine, but Roscoe, I think she's going to be on a trip. Alan, so we have very high beings that are coming to start to channel in the temples. And it's going to be extremely powerful. And what I'm seeing is that the group that's coming, so you know that when we left Atlantis, we went to Egypt. You and I went to Egypt, Jay.
That's kind of what I've always felt that was where I went to, I guess, afterwards.
Yeah, we went to Egypt. I was told that when we started the show today. And so, and we practiced. You and I worked together. I can even feel that. So that call, now remember, that's a call that's your intuitive guide. Someone else might say, well, Jay, that's crazy. Why are you spending all that money or doing that? But you have a soul call. And you know that. And I think that's beautiful. And, oh, yes, it would be so fun. We're calling together our tribe of people that we've been with before that hear this call and want to, like, reestablish that mystery school and that initiation. It's a personal one, and it'll be a global one as well.
I will definitely talk with Neil here soon. I think I'm going to have to get myself on that list and join you guys out there. I will. It would be a blast.
Well, Alan's in the house downstairs. We're all working together. We're a team. We're
Absolutely.
Putting it together now. He's working on the itinerary and all of, everything. And when I tell him, he'll let out a shout of happiness.
Well, I cannot wait to meet both of you here in April. Are you working on anything currently that you wanted to share with the people before we wrapped up?
Well, I'm working on 2 new classes. One is the Starseed Mission Activations, which will be produced as a class. The second, as a class, it's really intense. It really channels a lot of that. And then the second course I'm working on is how do we navigate in between times? And we're in, like that bridge, we're in and in between times. And I can't even believe where I've gone. I'm actually looking at ether, the 5 elements. What is ether? Because our soul consciousness is in the ether. And of course they try to, dispute that, but that is where it is. And I've been waking up to it. It's like, oh my God, I'm in a tunnel with it. And I'm working on how to thrive now during these times and break free and get back into that energy of which all of us used to be in 24/7.
It's so funny what you said, because on one of my plant medicine journeys, I had a revelation that I'm trying to see through time. I'm trying to remember the past and affect through the future and be able to see those timelines like I used to. And when you the way you just said that just clicked into everything. The synchronicities. I'm so glad we talked today.
I want to say something about that. So I have to hop off because I'm co-hosting an event that's happening today on quantum mechanics and timeline jumping.
I can't believe it. That's awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to say go to portaltoascension.org, click, and it's probably right there, events. It happens today in about 40 minutes we start. It is exactly aligned with what you're talking about.
I love it.
The replay.
I will be at least watching the replay if I can't get there today. Thank you so much for your time. I cannot believe how much I'm smiling and how much this has just been a great experience. Thank you so much for joining me, Joan.
All right, Jay. So I just want to say to everyone, first of all, I'm so grateful. I feel such a resonance with you, like we were meant to talk today. And you can all find me at joanofangels.com. So far, I'm the only Joan of Angels. Thank you, God. It's easy to, very easy to find me. I'm just still doing privates for the next few months. So feel free to reach out to me if you just have a question or you really feel a resonance and want to know more. And you will set up a time.
I love it. And I will make sure to include links in the show notes for your website and your Instagram as well. I'm very glad that we got to meet, and I can't wait to see you again.
I just feel the same way. So thank you very much. I'm not sure how I leave the show.
I will take care of that. You just have yourself a great day, and you take care.
Ciao to everyone. We are freeing humanity, love. Let's do it.
Thank you again for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Exchange. I want to once again thank Joan for sharing her time with us. And if you're wondering, we did do that soul awakening session that she offered. We didn't get it done before the holidays, but we got to meet back up on my birthday, actually, just a couple of weeks ago, and had a really amazing session. Thank you again, Joan. I hope you hear this. I can't recommend seeking her out enough, especially at the Portal to Ascension Conference if you get to come to it this weekend. Last but certainly not least, I want to give a special thanks to all of our listeners. You are the reason I continue to make these podcasts and keep spreading the word about these amazing awakened babes. Please tell your friends about us, follow us on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube or wherever else you're listening, and please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Every podcast says it because it really does help with visibility. You can also support us on Patreon or connect with us on the social media of your choice. We are at Awakened Exchanges on Facebook and Instagram and at Awakened Exchanges on Twitter. Thanks again for listening to Awakened Exchanges. Have a blessed day.